Okay. I would like to call to order the Village of Lansing Planning Board meeting of Monday, July 10th, 2023, to order at 7:03 PM. First order on the agenda is the approval of minutes from June 27th, 2023. I know Mike distributed them and people got a chance to take a look at them. Were there any other edits that folks wanted to make about them?
All I got is what Lorraine said.
I didn't see anything else.
Jim was not here. I don't think he could, was he?
Yeah, Jim, was it the June 27th meeting that you missed, Jim, or not? You were here, okay. Oh, yeah, it was the last one, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the one before that.
Right, because I corrected that on there.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody can vote on it.
Okay,
Okay,
Not there.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes then.
I move that we approve the minutes, June
Motion.
27.
Motion by Lisa,
I'll second.
second by Pat, all in favor? Okay,
Aye.
unanimous? Okay, next item on the agenda is the public comment period. This is a chance for anyone to comment about anything that's not already on the agenda for this evening.
Hi, it's Susan Ainsley, covering for the Board of,
Hey, Susan.
again. Happily.
I'm Carla Marceau. I'm here as an observer for the community party.
Hey, Carla.
Susan,
Yes,
are you like a permanent?
Liaison, yes.
I mean, is anyone
Well-
else taking it? I know you love doing it, but
I know. Well, I now appoint myself as permanent in the absence of one of the former trustees and the absence of two current trustees.
okay.
How's that?
Okay, no other comments. I will entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
I move we close the public comment.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Lisa, all in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda is to review the special permit number 2021-4516 Lansing Meadows. Eric Getzman has requested to meet with the planning board to discuss the ongoing project. You want to kick us off first, Mike?
I'll kick it over to Eric.
Okay, there you go. Come on up, Eric. Yeah, come on up, Mike will pick you up there.
Okay, well, I see some new planning board members here, so I'm Eric Getzman. We've been involved in the building of the homes next door for quite some time. And we've got an issue with their building permits. We had 2 additional buildings we were trying to begin this spring. And we've come into some issues for us, so I'm in front of the planning board to kind of share where I am with everything and to see what we can do to keep these things moving along. We have people living in them now. I mean, they're extremely happy. The units are full. We've got people there who say they want to spend the rest of their life there, which is good and bad, I guess. But they are very happy because they like them in the village of Lansing. They like the amenities to walk, the YMCA, to walk the grocery stores. So they have worked out well from what we've tried to accomplish here. And I would like to build an additional 6 units. Unfortunately, right now, my financing isn't in place. We're working with the IDA to reinstate our pilot. We had a pilot agreement, which we found out not too long ago. We didn't realize they had filed to have it dismissed, which it was. By the time we found out, we asked to be in front of them, but that didn't happen. So now we are taking steps. We thought it would have resolved this last spring, which is still not. So we've got to get the financing, we've got to get the pilot reinstated because it does a lot with everything that's involved here. Without having that instated, the builder is looking for a bank loan in place, and the builder's not going to start without having something like that available. Quite honestly, we couldn't represent that it was, so that's been put on hold. He's on standby. It's not an immediate standby, but we're in the queue once we get that back in place to start this again. Unfortunately, the permit we have with you has a sunset date of July 26th of this month. And one of the things that I'm asking the board is to consider extending that until we get these issues resolved so we can move forward. And I want the planning board to also understand that a permit in place, it's difficult for us to talk to anyone, whether it's, we're leasing space in the mall or talking to a tenant or somebody. If you don't have the right to do something, they don't take you seriously. So it's important to keep the permit alive so that when we do have the ability to turn it back on, we can turn it quickly, and if the schedule opens up, we can get right into it. Because it takes time, as you know, to come back in front of the planning board to get everything done. Everything's been approved. We just couldn't start with what was up there. So I'm asking the planning board to consider extending this until we get through the IDA issue to get that reinstated, allow us to move forward with this.
I got two quick questions for you.
Sure.
One, it's 12 units over there. What's your occupancy now over there? I mean,
It's a self,
yeah, I know you have all 12?
Yeah, so I'll call.
Over here, okay.
But we have more people like who want to come in, but I can't give them dates right now.
And the extension you're asking for, how long is the extension you're asking for?
Well, I would like to ask for a year, but I think it'll be quicker than that to resolve this, but that's what I would ask for. The one building we have, he's very good, he's capable of building later in the season and so forth. So, but the permit's an important piece, both, for primarily for the builder, because the builder they don't want to commit unless they know they can build something.
Is there any work that's been done on any of the other two buildings that you want to build or not?
The other two buildings, the building pads are built up to where they have to go,
Okay.
they're ready to go. So it's just a matter of everything, there's stone there, it's ready to go, it's just getting it turned on. The
So-
first part was putting the foundations in, and then the builder would come right behind.
So the next step would be foundations for those two?
Yeah, and it's a concrete slab on grade, so that's pretty much ready to go.
Other questions?
what's the stone for?
The stone, the concrete sits on the
Yeah.
basis.
Oh, but there's stuff stacked up though over there.
There was still some exterior stone to put on the buildings, was stacked.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
We've cleaned off almost all the building supplies. I think our excavator has a bucket out there, which I've asked them to take off the site. But for the most part, it's fairly cleaned up.
Do you have a timeline established with the IDA yet? The review?
It's more of a legal issue getting it reinstated. I mean, I wish I could say the timeframe. I was hoping we'd get through it quickly, through the spring. And I was hoping they'd get the foundations in so I wouldn't be before you. But it's not gonna be the spring.
Can I ask about the street that's one way? It's supposed to be one way, as I recall, and I haven't seen any signage to that effect yet.
We haven't put signs up, Lisa, but we've explained to all the people, they pretty much all take the one-way route.
Okay, because I have seen some parking issues with that, and I'm a little concerned.
With some parking issues.
Yeah, when
Where'd you see that?
I have seen like vendors come or perhaps some service people, and I just have noticed, as you know, I live pretty close by and I go by often, and it just concerns me that if they're parked on that street, that if there should be a fire or something, there could be some safety issues. So I'm wondering if it's wide enough, actually.
Yeah, we built it, so it's a one-way street.
Right, but so I think it might be important, though, to have, so for people who don't live there to know, I just thought that was part of one of the things, and that I would think wouldn't be dependent on some of these other issues you're mentioning, to get the signage up on that, but I don't know, I leave that up too.
Okay.
Other questions from folks?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I think I heard Eric say he wanted to build 6 units. We know where 2 of them are, because it's in the pad. What's the proposed location for the other 4?
Oh, no.
No, there's the two units we're talking about, Jim, are in between the two buildings, where you see the gap.
Yeah, so it's 2 more buildings, 3 units per building.
Right. Three
Okay,
units.
Yeah,
all right. Never mind. I hear most of what's going on. I thought I heard him say 6 buildings. Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
I made the assumption, I've talked about it so many times, Jim, sorry, it's been a while.
so I'll just share with Eric and the other board members too. So we're obviously not going to make a decision on anything tonight, but, ask away, ask whatever questions you want, whatever information you need, so that in the meeting, our next meeting, I don't want to say 2 weeks, but whenever the next meeting is, that everybody has any information available to them that they need to make a decision on extending the special permit or talking about the special permit, whatever we end up doing with that. So if you do have other questions, while Eric's here, now's a good time to ask.
And I think the reception's been extremely great for everybody who's looked at them, everybody who lives in them now. I mean, they really like them. You know, they're nice, they're open, and more importantly, in the village, so you can walk just about everything. The biggest complaint we have are restaurants. You know, people want more places to eat than they can walk to. And that's the biggest complaint we've had so far.
Where do we stand with any of the other outstanding conditions aside from those two buildings?
As it is right now, we're still, the SWIP is still open. We are on somewhat of a pause because there's no activity and everything is stable over there. There's other items that are needed, such as there's some easements. I think there's some sewer easements that need to be done. There's still the sidewalk.
There's a sewer and sidewalk, which we've been trying to get a copy of the sidewalk, which we don't have, so I've asked my attorney finally just to draw one up that'd be acceptable. And I thought that was, when the sewer easement's been, we sent that.
That'll be, is that John doing that?
Yeah, Johnston.
I think John will end up talking to either Wendy or Peter. I think he's been talking to Peter about the.
Everything's been drawn up, it's just putting the legal language to it with the attorneys. I mean, it's all drawn, it's been drawn for almost a year now.
And then the one-way signage, as I mentioned.
Mhm.
We can get that put up.
Yeah, there's
But-
little things here or there,
Okay.
but there's nothing that's, at this point, there's nothing that's.
I think the two biggest things we had in there, Mike, were the easements, getting those finalized.
I do know something else, though. I don't think you've completed the landscape plan that you committed to.
We had the landscape, well, the escrow we put in place was for the trees around behind those two buildings. We've talked about, we want to get the buildings in, so we didn't destroy that.
But you also talked about finally putting some in, again, at that very far one where the woman has put up kind of a gazebo thing on her porch, putting back some shrubbery along the road.
We had three trees there, Lisa, that were gonna go.
Okay,
And there's some on the fire department side of building.
There's one tree in the fire department, there's 3 trees in the side and one in the front corner of that.
okay,
And, you know, the proposal I put together for the scope of work was that, plus all the trees behind that building.
okay,
And I had all the scope together, to do that all at one time.
so,
But we have you have all the escrows too. But, I mean, we
Okay.
move forward. I wanted to try and do that when we could, when it made sense, but.
okay.
And Lisa, I'll also pull together all the open items for you, for your next meeting. So
Yeah, that would be very helpful, I think.
Wendy, did you have any comments or questions you wanted to make or ask of Eric?
You guys are going through, I was going to talk through the conditions, so that'll be helpful to have that list of any of the outstanding conditions. And also, can you give a little bit more flavor on the pilot, how that became terminated? Because that seems to be kind of the precipitating event for the need for this. So maybe you can give me a little bit more information on that.
Yeah, we're really not sure how that got terminated because, you know, our language is pretty clear in the pilot and everything else. So that's what we're going back to the IDA on. You know, we had council represented and they weren't contacted when it was done. So we're really not sure. Now we have to go back to the IDA we're going through the court system to get them reinstated. But the IDA, you know, the benefit of the IDA was for the BJ's Wholesale Club, which opened in 2012. And we had the housing, you know, with the village here, and that took longer, but, you know, the benefits have been received, so I can't sit here and speak on the legal side, why that is or how that is. Because all I know is now we have the council working on both sides, and our goal is to have it reinstated.
And it maybe I'll check with Peter if he's been dealing with your attorney on the easement. Maybe your attorney can give a little flavor, just, you know, since that's the reason for the request for the extension. Just want to get our arms around that a little bit more.
That's fine. Do you work with Peter?
I do. I'm sorry. I'm Wendy Marsh. I'm a partner with Hancock Estabrook, and I'm sitting in for Natalie while she is out on maternity leave.
I didn't recognize her, sorry about that.
I should have introduced myself. Sorry about that.
Ray, do you have a sidewalk even you did like from McGuire or something like that? We've been trying to get that for last year. Is there an easement you have that you prefer? The one may have already been drawn up and sent to Peter, but we've been trying to get that for quite some time.
Yep, I will work with Peter, make sure that we have the full list, because we're gonna look at the outstanding conditions, and if that's one of them, we'll want to get to the bottom of that as well.
That's one of the most outstanding ones that's been for a year, because we've sent those over, and we've been trying to get that. We have with the sewer easement, we do not have a base plan for a sidewalk. The sidewalk's all done by the surveyor. We just need the language, which would be acceptable, and I assume you've done we've had other people, I've been here, other people have done sidewalks. So somebody must have an easement somewhere.
I guess I'm not understanding fully what's quite going on here. We talking about the sidewalk
So the sidewalk that we built along Oak Crest,
along Oak Crest,
Right,
not
so
the
that's-
one that goes and joins in, okay.
the full length of Oak
Okay,
Crest.
all of the sidewalks.
Well, yeah, yes, all the sidewalks. So what we
Okay.
do is, we have to give an easement, because part of that's on our property. We're
And
giving
some
the
is in
village
our
the right to
right-of-way.
come on, maintain, take care of.
Right.
And all the sidewalks you have. Every municipality has a different type of easement they're comfortable with. So my attorney's been trying to get one, so he can write one up. He's pulled from other municipalities up in the Syracuse area. So we were gonna use one of those, which will continue. It may already be done. He may already have it, so I'll ask him.
And, I'm kind of coming into this and not knowing a lot of the history, but
That's
we're
fine.
going to want to know exactly the outstanding conditions so that we know exactly where we are.
So that's an open item that we have.
This is
John.
Langley you're talking.
John, no, this is a different attorney who do my.
Oh, different attorney.
Oh, okay.
John Lang, he's like on 30 municipalities. It's hard to get his time. So I'm trying to get.
I was just wondering if it was the
Jim
same.
Messenger's he's been.
Oh,
he's been
yes,
here
all right, we've seen his name.
25 years he's been working here with me, so. But I think that might be done, and I'll get that over. It's just a matter we were trying to make it the same.
Okay,
I think we're there, though, so I don't think that's gonna be the issue. I think the sewer, everything is drawn up, everything's on there, just put in legal language to it. Then once it happens, then we get it filed. But they're built, and those, I think that I think those were two of the larger items with the permit date, so.
Other questions from anyone?
no,
Jim, anything from you?
No, I had the one question I had answered.
Okay. Anything else from you, Wendy?
Nope, I've got some homework to do to make sure that we're up to speed, so I'm sure we'll be working closely to get me up to speed. Thank you.
And so, Mike, anything from you?
No, I'm good. I'll get all the information out to everybody so everyone's up to speed for the next meeting.
And the special permit that you said, the extension ends on the 26th?
26, yeah.
So, okay, so again, not gonna make any decisions tonight. I will encourage you to take a look at the special permit, you have a copy of it. You can look at it, you can realize what's outstanding between now and the 26th, and I would encourage you to work as hard as possible to make sure that those conditions are met, or be ready to talk about them at the
Okay,
next.
great.
And maybe
Wendy-
some
And also,
more detail on the-
you're welcome to have your attorney contact me directly if that's easier. And obviously, I'll touch base with Peter if they're already far along, but if, there's things that are in your court, I'm happy to be the point of contact as well, and then I can work with Peter.
Would you have our emails from the attorney that he sent them to Peter? Would you have copy? I don't have your email address.
I can send it to you.
Okay. I'll send you an email then. Thank you.
Great. Just, we want to be as well prepared as we can for the 26th.
Perfect, thank you. I'm sorry.
Just along with anything else from the special permits outstanding, more detail about the pilot agreement.
Yeah.
And where that status is. Like, are you on an agenda to meet with the IDA's committees about
No,
that?
This is in the court system.
It's only, okay, so it's
It's outside. We'd asked, but when they did it, we should have been in front of there, but we
okay.
weren't.
All right, so it's litigation then?
Litigation.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. All right,
thanks,
thanks.
Eric, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the discussion of the solar array draft law. So I did send out, albeit a few days late, sorry about that. I was on vacation. I actually thought that I sent it, and then I realized it was in my outbox when I came back from vacation. But I did address a couple of things that we talked about. It was primarily the same copies that I had sent out the previous couple times, but I did fix some of the numerical things and some of the replacing municipality with Village of Lansing, some of the things that we
Yeah,
talked about at the
yeah,
last
right.
meeting, so primarily, find and replace, but I will open it up, and if folks want to step through it in whatever format you want, we can go through it. And I know Lisa, you said that you had some internet issues, so if you have some, if you have like formatting, things like that, send them to me and I'll
I
incorporate
have,
them into the
it's
draft.
actually, these aren't formatted.
Okay,
I
yeah.
tried not to get into that, because, you know, that, you had put it in. I have trouble sometimes, too, is, I guess I don't have to use Google Docs, that's what I'm supposed to be using. I have trouble sometimes with track changes, I just can't make it work, I don't know.
This one, I sent this one in Word, didn't I? Okay, good.
And sometimes it works, but at any rate, so my first thing is on page 154, at the bottom.
Okay,
You have D, which got deleted.
Yep.
Under general requirements. It says D, and you deleted that, so then you flipped the page, and you went to E instead, and it should be D.
that's just because all the changes haven't been accepted
Oh,
in.
okay.
Once I accept them in, the formatting should be right.
Okay.
So as long as folks, like, in that example, if folks are okay with deleting D where it says the New York Unified Solar Permit shall
Yeah,
be
and then,
required,
okay.
and putting it up in A where it says the village's modified New York State solar permit shall be required, when we, if everyone's okay with those changes, it'll fix that formatting.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right,
Because otherwise, you're right, it doesn't make sense. It's like A, B, D, B, D, B, E.
no,
Yeah, doesn't make
at any
sense.
rate, I started to correct it, and then I got so,
Yeah, I looked at it too when I was going through it, and I saw it, because I fixed a lot of formatting maybe a month ago, and I was trying to go through, and there were a bunch of changes that we said we wanted to make.
Yeah.
And then I tried to fix formatting at the same time, and I gave up on that, because it wouldn't work. I fixed the formatting that wasn't involved with changes we wanted to make.
okay, so when you get to the H, well, I, it's on I on page
Yep.
150. So are we always going to capitalize solar energy systems?
So that
Initial
one,
cap?
I did not look at that, but one of the things,
It just, sometimes,
so we could do that for anything under definitions. We do that with,
you know,
like, tier 1 solar energy, I think tier 1 is always capitalized, so we didn't talk about that last time, but if anything under definitions, I could go through and do
whatever.
the initial cap on
So-
all of them. That might make sense.
One of the things that I find, and these are just some personally, so on the very last sentence of that one, H, or I, whatever it is, if the owner and/or operator fails to complete construction, installation, blah, 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 as set forth in the applicable tiers, I personally hate saying the tier is possessive. Because you see, the permitting requirements don't exactly belong to the tier, it doesn't. So I prefer to say the permitting requirements of the applicable tier.
Okay,
Do you mind?
that's fine.
And then on the next one, on the change of ownership, are the only things we're worried about implemented decommissioning plan or operation and maintenance plan? So that would be basically any of the obligations of the original permit, including, is there anything else that we're forgetting is what I'm thinking of, you know what I mean? And when they,
Okay.
and did we decide that if we're using the uniform code that they had to get the final approval by, prior to the issuance of the building permit, a document has to be a New York State registered architect? Did we decide to go with that, or did?
We did, we talked about that.
They're gonna be required anyway to be.
When you do that right.
When you do the uniform code? So I was wondering if that's redundant, I guess.
In order for them to get a building permit, I'm gonna require a stamp.
Okay, so we should just leave that in there.
I think that, you had brought that up
what we
before, I think we talked about it, just to make sure it was clear in that section.
Okay, good, all right.
Yes, it's a little bit redundant, but,
Okay, permitting requirements for tier 1. Now, in the other ones, we tell them that a special permit, we don't just say building permit only for this one, but, again, in addition, I was wondering if we should say in each one of these, in addition to the general requirements, i.e. capitalized initial caps, because they are our general requirements, And then also, I would say, I like to not use they, she, it, or it. I was wondering if we would repeat, and I know it seems redundant, but in addition to the general requirements above, tier 1 solar energy systems shall be subject to the following, and I would write additional requirements.
Where are you looking?
The very first statement under permitting requirements for tier 1
So all tier 1 solar energy systems,
shall be subject, but write out tier 1 as opposed to they.
oh, I see where you are, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's just, I just
I
find,
got you, yeah.
They is weak,
huh?
they is weak.
Well, you're not quite, sometimes there's confusion, and if we're just consistent with this, and that will remind them which tier they're reading about, because there's a lot of tiers here.
And then, of course, we would just make sure we repeat the same thing under tier.
Yeah, for all the
That
subsequent
has
tiers.
to, yeah,
That's fine.
follow through on all of them. I know it takes up an extra bit of space, but I think.
Oh, that's fine.
But I
clarity
think,
is important in space.
yeah, no, is it, these are additional requirements, right?
Right. Yeah, that's,
In addition to, yeah,
in addition to the general requirements above, which will be capitalized.
in addition, oh, I see,
In addition to the general requirements above,
Tier 1 shall be subject to
tier
the
1
following.
shall be subject.
You're right,
to, yeah.
that's
We'll
redundant.
write that out,
yeah.
and we'll do that for the subsequent
Okay.
tiers too.
Okay. So, yeah, that was the same.
Yeah, and you'll notice that right in tier, in under 7, under tier 2.
Yeah, it just, and general requirements,
kind-
and then.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll fix that, for all other tiers, I know, I wrote it down there, yeah.
One of the things I wanted, that I always hear Bill Troy say, continually effective buffer, so that, what, is he coughing?
Oh, no.
Is he sending you a minute? So I'm now under 7, I'm on page 156, B standards. So do we have to say, well, I guess when we ask, I just want to be sure that when they submit the buffering plan, they understand it's part of their maintenance agreement perhaps, that it will have to be continually maintained to be effective if it's like trees versus a fence or whatever. Because, trees die and then
Right.
not so good.
And we don't, yeah, and we call, I don't know if it's right, how it's called out in other village things, but I know we always talk about it.
Yeah, I know.
So we can fix that here, but if it's called out in other places, we can refer to it, or we can refer to that when we say, subject to planning board approval.
Right.
But we,
And then number 2 there talks about how the planning board may require
right,
that maintenance plan. So I think between the two of those,
They're already fine.
we're covering ourselves, saying that, because if we look at something and we see, okay, it's a fence, that's going to stay for the next like 50 years before it needs any sort of maintenance, but shrubs might die, and it might need to
Property
be,
upkeep, you mean?
so that can be one of the.
so that could be a condition of under number 2,
Okay.
that we would require on an as-needed basis.
There should be a colon after standards, and we have B standards,
Oh.
and then to the following standards.
Oh, under B,
That should be a colon instead of a period.
Oh, right, yes, yep.
okay, and then there should be, on item number 3 under standards, there should, I think it's, do we keep saying the code and zoning officer code enough?
Where's that one?
Standards B3, the code officer, do we use it? I mean.
I'll take a look.
I don't care terribly, but maybe the code officer does.
You want to vote in front of code?
What do you want? CEO, no.
Capital THE. Under A, environmental resources, A, 2, little owners,
Where's that one?
as determined by the planning board. Tier 2 solar energy system owners shall utilize and maintain native perennial vegetation. It's A2, 8.2, sorry.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay,
I don't know. So what do you want it to be?
just little o.
Okay.
then we get into the same thing under the, the tier 3, blah, blah, blah. But in addition, under 8, are you in 8? I think it's the blue, building permit, in addition to the general requirements above, tier 3 shall be subject to the following requirement.
Oh, yeah.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah, I'll take a look at
Just
that, yeah,
to-
something,
Yeah, exactly,
something should be
yeah.
struck out there, yeah.
And when we refer to 14559, are we referring to all of that or just a section, like the general conditions?
4559 is your special permit, everything for.
So you want it to be the full thing, okay, I just wanted to be sure. Oh, okay. Reasonably,
Where's that one?
I'm now under,
I did try to take those.
I know, it just drives me
Yes.
crazy. Okay, so let me see, permitting requirements, 3, I am in C,
Okay,
number 8. Lighting,
shall be limited to reasonably shielded, okay,
just
yeah,
shall be shielded,
okay.
because you can have safe lighting and it can be shielded.
C. Okay. Okay, right,
And then number 2, number 11, sorry,
yep,
I would, it's tier 3 solar energy systems, right? We're in tier 3.
yep.
I would insert that again because,
Oh, so right there under I where it says visual impacts of the solar energy system?
well, it's actually number 11, it says solar energy systems shall be required to, we're talking about
Oh, okay.
tier 3, right?
Right,
And at this point, I feel that we're far enough into it that they could be forgetting, I was forgetting where I was at.
And actually, I have a question, going back to what you were saying about lighting. We have, shield and downcast from abutting properties. Do we have any dark sky?
Our lighting code.
it's under the lighting
It is
code,
under
yeah.
the
So
lighting
do we
code.
want to say that here? Because someone might mistake that and say, well, it's not shining on the neighbor's property, so it's okay, even if it
Oh,
doesn't
must be
fit
dark
our.
sky compliant. Well, we could,
Just have it abide by
Abide by the lighting
section
code.
145 and 27,
145 what?
27. I'll look.
Yes, it is, or is that the sidewalk? Is that lighting?
I'll find out exactly what it is for you.
One moment, I have it right here.
Okay, excellent.
27 is trees. Tree.
Not 27.
That's why we think it's that. Exterior lighting, is that correct? 145, 20.2?
Yeah, because, the sidewalk's 20.1, right? or something like that.
So what's,
Yes.
this is under,
145-20.2.
So number 8, lighting.
Yep,
145-20.2,
yep.
and that's under lighting 8C8. Okay,
And that section gives me the ability to review it.
Yeah.
It states right in there that that I would have to review the plan.
Okay, so you'll put something in there about that.
yeah, we'll specifically call that out.
Okay, and then again, the word reasonably, this is under the number 11, 2.
Okay,
Submit a screening landscape, subject planning board, blah, 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 shall be minimized as reasonably practical. I don't know what to do with that exactly, but,
I'll take a look and see if we can.
yeah.
Yeah, we have reasonably practical, and then to the extent feasible, the same sentence.
Hey, this is from New York State, by the way.
We'll work on that.
Man, we're doing good.
And then, I'm finally done almost. Number 3, I'm on 13, environmental resources. 3, I would say, get rid of the word use, because I'm not sure was, it's not, use, I would like to say, capital, integrated pest management practices will be used to /limit pesticide use. Instead of starting with the word use, start with.
Integrated pest management
Because it just-
practices will be used.
Somehow I thought, what are we talking about here exactly? It just, details regarding these practices must be included in the property operation and maintenance plan, not will be.
We had talked about that,
Should,
specifically because this falls under tier 3. So when we had talked about that, we definitely wanted them, include them.
yes, so we should say
Yes,
must.
yeah, must,
Instead of will be.
Instead of will be, yeah.
That's it?
And then, okay, so one last point of order for the 13. Can we just format them so that they're similar? So,
What is it?
Yes, I haven't, yeah, once I accept all the changes, I'm gonna go and list everything.
well, the language you have, 13.1 trees, period, and then 13.2,
Yeah, it
should we just say?
should say integrated pest management, period, kind of sentence, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we're all getting on board now. But why not?
Okay. What other folks have? Lisa stole them all. Sure.
No,
She worked
Anything
on
from
the-
you, Jim?
no, mine was the unified select permit that I was in charge
We'll move on
of.
to that next.
And Mike already has all my changes.
I already have some additional ones.
Oh,
She got most of them, but
oh, thank you, Lisa. That's a compliment. And Pat, did you, I wasn't sure what you meant by your message. Pat, did you contribute to
I
this?
was in there on the phone, I could see somebody, I saw him walking in, I saw him with shorts down, slipping it in my
That was me.
inbox.
I
Oh,
don't want to disturb you. Your door was closed. You were talking.
Wendy, did you have anything you wanted to add into this discussion here?
Yes, so the question that I have is under for tier 1, the permitting requirements. How would a person get to the planning board to require a decommissioning plan?
under tier 1,
Yes. So is that supposed set up such that it's just a building permit? Or is that something that's intended to always go to the planning board? So just trying to understand what the step would be for the tier 1.
Right. Let's see.
actually,
That, I think the goal for that was to be for on-farm solar, well, maybe
I
not.
don't know,
You don't need a decommissioning plan if it's on the roof.
I was thinking.
Yeah, but on-farm solar doesn't necessarily have to be,
Okay, so we
it's
can,
residential roof mounted.
Right.
And residential building integrated and on-farm solar. So it doesn't necessarily, and I think this was a discussion we had. If it's residential, it can be on,
may require.
right, yeah, I think
Okay.
it wasn't for the residential roof so much as like, the on-farm that we wanted a decommissioning plan because it could be ground mounted.
So it's such as, so maybe it has to be for certain projects, for reasons such as size and location.
Actually, I'm just trying to understand just the mechanism, like who gets to decide?
Yeah, how does it
So,
get here,
and-
right?
And because you just need to have that authority, that if it's intended to be a building permit to be issued by the zoning or code enforcement officer, whichever is the proper terminology, you just need to make sure that at his or her discretion, it would have to go to the planning board for something so that the planning board would be able to require that decommissioning plan. So just trying to figure out how does it get kicked to you to decide whether or not there's a decommissioning plan that's required.
Oh,
Right, a lot of those
because it
things
would
would, a
normally
lot of
just
those
go
things
to
would
him.
come to Mike and go through.
You know
Right.
what I also thought of is, so I sell my house, and I have, now this of course is, I guess, a real estate thing is, so I have, if I had a decommissioning plan, I have an escrow account for it?
Yeah, we
Or a bond?
talked about that.
Yeah.
How does that transfer? Oh, I mean,
Have a decommissioning plan for mounted arrays.
For, yeah,
for residential.
for residential roof, we weren't going to.
Basically, the idea is that residential roof mounted does not require a decommissioning plan.
Okay, then maybe
Really
we
ever,
could
it's
say
mostly
that.
for ground mounted. So for tier 1, that would be only the on-farm projects, which may or may not be on a rooftop.
Do you want to let that, whether you want to distinguish that decommissioning plan with either something in parentheses for a farm?
Or just,
I mean, if you're not prepared to necessarily make that decision, it's just to make sure in here that the code enforcement officer has the discretion to send it to the planning board for that. That's all I'm saying, not as far as, where it would be required. Because I can see it needed in other places, just who has the authority to make that decision? Because I could see an applicant coming in saying, hey, now how do I have to go to the planning board? I only, give me my building permit.
So do we basically say for ground or
we could
for
just say,
non-resident?
can we just say, at the
discretion of the
code
code
officer's discretion,
Yeah,
a permit may be brought to the planning board?
yeah.
Exactly. And you don't even have to say, you could just put it under tier 1. So,
Yeah,
just to give that discretion.
Right, it has nothing to do with the special permit process, it has to do
Correct.
with the code enforcement officer, expressing his discretion to require that.
It's an awful lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it is. Ooh, man.
Oh, wait.
You got a raise, didn't you?
That's what that was for, specifically this. Anything else, Wendy?
I agree on J above that, which would be 5J, that the new owner assumes all responsibilities associated with the approval, including but not limited to, just in case it's flipped immediately.
Okay.
And then, of course, I have to have a formatting one, and the formatting is under the statement of purpose. You've got PDAs before it's defined on that second paragraph.
Where's that one?
Under statement of purpose, the second paragraph, first line.
Under 7? Are you under 7?
No, I went back to 2, under statement of purpose.
Oh, okay.
Second paragraph.
Yeah, the first line, including PDAs.
Oh,
Okay,
Spelled out.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we need to put,
we'll spell it out there.
Right, yeah. I figured you'd catch that, but I had to talk about format.
I do find and replace, I didn't catch that. Microsoft, you were smarter than Microsoft. Okay.
And that's it, thank you.
Okay. The folks want to move on to the unified solar permit?
so
Or did you have something else, Lisa?
I'll get to you later.
Okay, I've got a whole bunch here, I'm sure
All
I'll,
of a sudden, something I'm not understanding, but maybe I'm just tired, so I'll just wait and see whether it presents itself. Okay.
who has comments for Mike?
Speaks for itself. If you found any other issues, I mean, I took what Pat had to say, and I took what Lorraine had to say on it, and actually Jody chimed in a few things on it also. Mostly the spacing and whatnot.
I was, there's some formatting issues, but I was assuming that that would be taken care of ultimately. Okay, so one thing I really would like is to have page numbers, like page 1 of blank, so we, because we were
Put it in the footer,
yeah.
in the footer. I'm assuming, so there's a little stray colon in the box insets, but again, that's a formatting thing. It's coming from, I'm not sure where it's coming from, but
That's my calling card.
that right there. But
You left it there to make sure you would catch it.
I'm assuming that in the inset boxes, special permit fee, total fee, CC issue is certificate of compliance. Will everybody know that?
I can spell it out if you want.
People might think it means credit card. Credit card issued.
They can give me their credit card number, yeah.
I mean, it's.
It's a section
really
about
for
money, so
internal
yeah, so
use
I think
only.
that's how I pay it.
It's for office use only.
That was spelled on there, that's easy.
Yeah, maybe.
I just was wondering,
What does it mean?
I'm thinking copied, CC'd, and.
Is that
well,
certificate
that's
of
not what it
compliance, or is that like a CC file?
It is certificate
Of compliance.
So what does the CC mean? CC issued?
Certificate of compliance?
Spell it out, I'll make it clear.
Well, is there need to be a date? What needs to go in that spot? Is there need?
The date, the dates.
So maybe can you put CC issue date? Then you just have to add date. And then it's clear that it doesn't mean credit card.
That's
I
fine.
just put CFC issue date.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll put-
Oh, CFC is better, yeah. I think.
And the other thing too, if we're gonna go through this kind of nitpicky bits, this is a money section.
Mhm.
So, you know, a CUC issued is kind of like the big stamp at the end, we've done this, it's okay, that should be probably its own section, like its own line.
Were the special permit fee, that should be its own section?
Yeah, because.
Another box, you mean?
Yeah, like a separate box, just because, you know, all these things the boxes are grouped by kind of information.
Can it be moved up, maybe? You've got filing date in one box, you've got planning board approval date in a box,
Oh, and then.
permit issued date, so it needs to be in its own box.
You might,
It needs to go above.
I was just saying, move it up to the top, filing date, planning board approval date, CFC issue date. You can put it up there.
But actually, it's actually at the very end, because it's only after they've done all those other things.
And paid their fee.
That's right.
So it's kind of like at the.
But I think it'd be okay to move it up under there, right?
I'll just be devil's advocate and say,
Finally.
you can get the planning board approval today before you pay anything, so. I agree with the grouping like things together.
I think the really big item here is what's in bold letters.
For office use only?
use only.
Seems important.
Like where you have permit issue date.
We could say
It
just
looks
put
like
it
it's a
where
tab
it
there,
fits.
so to
as they
speak.
say.
I can't believe I missed that, the colon.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, other than that, I'm not going to say anything, the formatting is all wonky on that.
Well, yeah, no, I was going to say, I would like to talk about how we could get the form to be.
I think if he makes the font smaller, just a hair, just the
Boxes are
just.
pretty big, too. There's
everything?
plenty of room.
Well, no, on this part, I think what'll help you, and I think
There's plenty of room.
I mean, I don't know how much work it is, what happens to this document if you change the font size, but if you just go down one,
I thought 11 was the approved size these days, and this is.
11 might be too small for this, though.
Well, some of it. No, I don't know.
You figure, the way I figured it, the larger the font, the less intimidating it is.
Oh, I don't
Now
know.
you get
If you
something
make it all in
that's
caps.
very
Yeah.
small, very intimidating.
Well, it seems overwhelming to some people. But, but I suppose in terms of yeah, I think we need to talk about just, how it looks. But on the very first project eligibility thing, which says has a DC capacity of, kilowatts is back, the size of the K and W are reversed. It's a little k, big W. And it's fine the rest of the document. And then, again, the system will be mounted on a structure that has a proper certificate of occupancy, CO? Do you think we need to spell that out?
You don't refer to it above anywhere, right?
There would be room to add that in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would spell it out.
Spell it out there first time and
Is it mentioned again?
then see if I'll.
Mentioned again in here, and then you can just put CO after it in parentheses, and then, but if it's mentioned again, I don't know if it is.
I mean, whenever I read something, if I come to it and have to start thinking about it, I think, oh, I know what it is. I think. I mean, okay, and we are the jurisdiction, right? Under submittal instructions, I just want to be sure that when we finally have the document in place, that we get the right page number reference there.
Yep.
And I guess under project summary, it says, is this a revision to an issued permit? If yes, provide permit number, and then the question mark. Wouldn't we say, is this a revision to an issued permit, question mark? No, yes, if yes, blah, blah. Isn't that the usual format that you do? And actually have them say no, if it's not. But I was wondering.
Space in there, yeah, we can put a checkbox or something.
Okay.
Oh, I'm very sorry, I was wrong about the kilowatt.
I saw the other one too. I
Yeah,
wasn't gonna-
it's down here as well. Under provide the total system capacity rating.
It's on the next page. Oh, no, it's right there.
I got that.
Yeah, that's gotta be, okay, big W.
So I was wondering, we deleted, royal we, if yes, under select system configuration, new add-on to existing approved system, and we deleted if yes, which didn't make any sense, if yes what? number of panels, was that just not important, or do we care?
I don't think we care, I think we care, right.
We
The,
don't.
the law is based around square footage or other
Okay,
things, right?
got it. I
Or
was
na-
just-
Whatever name capacity, square footage, yeah, we don't care about the number of panels anywhere else.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that I knew why we
gonna get-
needed
Most
something.
cases.
500 panels this size. Yeah.
And then the same thing, so we feel that we don't need to ask them to be notarized their signature, is that correct?
You don't need what, Lisa?
On the one from New York State, they had the people that signed these
I don't think so.
notarized, had their signatures notarized. Is this so important that we need to do that, do you think, or? It's an
I'm just wondering
inconvenience
if
for them, but
I'm trying to think, if it's on a building permit, when we do a building permit, I don't need it notarized on a building permit.
And the other things are gonna have to be stamped by an engineer or architect, was it? I'm just
Yeah,
curious how
New York
that.
State licensed engineer,
Yeah.
architect. But as far as, like a building, when you do a building permit, you have an agent, if someone signs it other than the homeowner, if they designate an agent to sign it, then I require a letter from the owner saying, we want this person to be my agent, blah, 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 and so on.
But in this case, both the property owner has signed and the solar installation company is their agent,
You want to
right?
have some way to verify the property owner's signature?
I'm just saying, I just noticed this was delete, we did not require this, and the model one did. And so I was wondering whether I wanted to discuss it.
Do we
don't-
we anticipate a situation in which maybe a renter wants to get solar on their property and they need to have a separate,
I can't think of too many issues.
When do you think it needs to be notarized legally?
I don't think it needs to be notarized, but you do want to make sure that the owner is signed off, whether, if it's an agent.
Yeah, and then that would be.
So the normal process for the building permit process.
Did that help any, Lisa?
I guess, I mean, I just want to be sure that we've thought about it, you know what I mean, and be sure, do we want them to sign and date this thing? Do we put a date line in there at all?
Look at that.
but yeah.
I think. Well, on the submittal requirements, again, once we know how many pages there are, it says, 2 sets of the following documents must be included. It says completed unified solar permit, pages 1 and 2. Well, there's actually 3, I think, but it may not be. Do you know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's actually 2 or 3, because page 1 is basically a worksheet
Yeah.
for you to work out, to decide whether you can do the permit or not.
Oh, I
It is
see.
actually pages 2 and 3.
Oh, okay, so, it's pages 2 and 3 instead of 1 and 2. Well, either way.
Yeah,
All
Takes a
pages,
team, right? Yep, thank you.
all pages of this application.
there you go.
And I was wondering, under permit fee, if we have room, I started reading permit fee, and I go, $50 plus $2 cost of residential parents. I'm not fond of parenthetical notes. I was wondering if we could do permit fee, and then residential, and even bullet it and put on separate, you know, and then commercial, and just keep them separate and not do it in parentheses like that.
And honestly, I'm a fan anytime something like this has a little work area where it says $2 times X or whatever, just because the easier we make it for people to work this stuff out, the less there'll be.
Oh, you want a little place
surprise.
for them to do it?
I always appreciate that when I fill them out.
Right, $50 plus 2 times,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Do we
see.
need to put a sample in there also? I'm just kidding.
I mean, we'd have to check the math no matter what, but
That's true.
I will say that
Check the math.
whenever I do all this stuff, I appreciate it when there is one of those there.
How are we doing, Mike?
Okay.
And then I wanted to ask about is under, should the applicant wish, and there's all these bullets,
Where's it?
should the applicant,
Oh.
under 3, the second thing where it says, should the applicant wish to submit construction documents in another format, the submittal must include. And you go all the way down here, and it's like the next to the last one, it talks about, it references NEC numbers. Is that one,
National Electric Code.
and there, is that 2 references? Is it
Yeah,
NEC 230?
It's 23082 and 23087.
Yeah.
And, okay, could we
It's
put and in there?
You want me to spell out NEC also?
Yeah, maybe, because I kept thinking, oh, this should be all together, these numbers, and then I realized the second time I read it that it's really 2 separate thingies, right? And then I think, oh no, not quite. The next one, for roof-mounted systems, the 5th bullet down, the RDP, what is that? Roof depth. What does RDP stand for?
Roof-mounted systems, 5th bullet down.
The RDP.
What's RDP mean?
What's RDP? That's basically, I don't know exactly what it means, but it's
Depth,
your,
remaining depth or something?
yeah, it's your life, it's almost like a
Life expectancy.
depreciation type thing
Okay,
of your roofing system.
but what? I just didn't know what to do with that. We got rid of anything that's had to do with energy storage systems also. Are we not going to go there with that? I guess we can't really, it's not really,
Yeah.
what? You're not coming up with anything that you can tell us about?
Well, isn't anything that requires a storage system wouldn't be under the unified solar permit anyway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we kind of took care of that in the,
Yeah, so I don't think it's,
but so what do we want to do with RDP?
if someone can find a definition for it, I'd love to know what it is.
I'll find it, Lisa, I'll find something to make.
I wasn't able to quickly Google it to find out
Yeah.
the answer to that.
And also, I mean, here's the thing, I feel like I don't understand the sentence.
No, that's my problem.
If there's more than one layer of roofing, the RDP is to approximate
The remain, well,
the remaining life. So is the RDP,
the goal is to, I mean,
right,
The RDP, they're making it sound like the RDP
is a person.
general person, some type.
What is RDP?
oh, the roofing,
that's what we're trying to find.
what is it?
Direct Pro.
I saw that, that's not it. Yeah, no, I saw that, that's not it.
What is
No,
it?
it says Roofing Direct Program. but
Yeah.
Roofing Direct Pro, it probably is.
That's a company.
That's a company.
Oh,
Registered design professional?
oh, that's sounding good.
Excellent, Jim.
Well, it's,
Oh, yeah, we have registered design, okay,
We have it?
we have it in number 3 on the previous page. In the middle of number 3, it says, plans must be stamped and signed by a New York State registered design professional. So RDP, we can put it there, and then we fixed our problem.
We're done.
Yep,
Go back.
easy peasy.
Construction documents.
There you go.
Enter parens, RDP, we're good.
Excellent catch, Jim, thank you.
Oh, lovely. Very satisfying, actually.
Registered design professional.
There you go.
RDP after that, for answering done.
Okay.
And then my last thing is departmental contact information, the very last thing, it says, for additional information regarding the permit process, contact the code department, phone number, before, what is the before permit issuance? If you want additional
Should it be
information.
before permit application?
Yeah,
Very last sentence. Before permit application. application.
Do we have to even say before?
I didn't even, because it says financial information.
Yeah, just get rid of
I
it.
would say
Have questions?
Out.
There you
You
go.
don't need it, you don't need that to out.
Yeah. I mean, we might call about anything at all.
I'm running,
So this one right here. So get rid of the for permit application, just strike it out. If you have an additional
And,
question.
yeah, why,
Done.
do you even need to have additional and just put for information regarding the permit process, contact?
oh, because it is just the contact information.
Yep, I just scratch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, delete.
Like I do have a nitpicky thing.
What?
Another one,
Fine, Pat.
Uh-oh.
Should be fine.
all of your boxes go across.
The other thing.
Oh, I see.
Like this one ends right at the end of the sentence.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a
Well,
couple-
I was gonna say, you know what, can we, I was gonna talk to him about that, we'll drive him nuts, he won't want to do this, but can we help him with that? Getting forms.
That after it's finalized.
Once we have the content, we're happy to help you with.
Pat
the
requests that once you have all the changes made, that you send it to Pat.
That's right,
Oh, there you go.
I'll fix all that for you.
It's like, I can drag the bar out.
that's what I thought we would do,
We can do that.
if that's okay.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can
I'm
do
good.
I know, I figured,
that. Thanks, Pat.
I wasn't expecting you to do that. I know it's not
I
your
can put
thing.
it into a fillable PDF form too.
I'm surprised
That's
that
fancy.
New York State didn't just provide.
I know, why the heck?
See,
And did you love,
what you did, you made people leave.
I know. Now, they were yawning.
It was that last piece, that was the straw, yeah.
they're gonna say, what kind of giddy group is that?
I know.
Jokes on them, we're almost done, no, any.
I think we're,
So, Mike, I do have a question. Back on page 2,
are we still on the uniform thingy?
Yeah.
do we need to capitalize construction documents?
No. Oh, where? Page 2?
Yeah, in the bold print, select system configuration in parentheses, make sure your selection matches the construction documents. I don't think that they need to be capitalized, right? Construction documents?
Where are we?
I missed,
Very bottom of page
They're at
2.
bottom of page 2, in the
Oh,
bold.
Inside the blue box, it says select system configuration,
Matches.
and then
the
in parens,
construction.
make sure it matches.
I'd splash those out.
Yeah.
I don't think you did, Pat.
I think I did.
I think I did. No, wait, I think I did that.
Lowercase them?
Yes.
I think I did.
For lowercase, one single?
Just a slash.
Oh, okay. Double is make it, is capitalized, finish, right?
Three lines.
I do too, that's what I mean. Been a long time, been retired a long time.
Okay, what else?
Do you think it's time on this one, to pass it on to him?
I'm gonna make the changes that we talked about tonight, and I'll circulate it to you guys, but I'll also send it along to him. I was gonna do it with the last revision, but
Well,
I
no,
wanted to
we-
do one more, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we have to do, what Wendy said about, the whole yeah. Okay.
Anything else on
We're getting
the
there.
unified, our version of the unified permit?
Wasn't it interesting that they did not pick up the, and the isolate people, they misspelled contractor, they,
I know, they left that out. I know, I got that.
first time I saw that, I thought, oh, how is that?
There is
It's a shock. Most of it, they did a good, they cleaned up stuff that New York State had made mistakes
Yeah.
on, by the way.
Yeah.
I noticed that, but then I just got to that header and I thought, whoa, that's a biggie. For-
They had a couple typos in there.
Isn't it amazing the things that,
But you know what, when people look at these over and over again, you miss.
Oh, yeah.
oh, I know.
That's stuff that you miss.
No, I was
Like,
thinking,
hey, this is my summer job for the next 2 months.
Exactly, right?
it's the only way to do it. My husband's going crazy because I'm sitting in the room by now. If the installation requires a zoning grounds, you know, it's crazy. But
we
I,
used to also read things backwards.
oh, last page, you mean?
Yeah, well, we would literally, you know,
Bottom.
vlansing.org or at website Lansing of Village. And, yeah, that's, back in my old publishing days, when we were like, we would sometimes read them backwards just to make sure we didn't, when your eyes get too tired of looking at it.
Can't believe that would be hard.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to catch spelling errors, because your brain's not thinking about, it's not reading in anticipation, it's actually reading
Right.
word by word.
Try that for the next project.
Make it the easy one. Okay, well, Michael, update the unified permit application and send that back out. I will update this, and I will send it out to everybody here. Michael send it to Pat first, and then Pat can change it.
And you'll make a fillable PDF, which sounds wonderful to me.
We should do that with everything.
Yes, we
But
should.
that's besides the point. I'll also send it on to Tony, a
Good.
separate email for just for
Yeah.
him to take a look at,
If he has the time,
for technical, yeah.
if he can.
Okay, we'll do that quick here. Okay, next item on the agenda is the trustee report.
There was,
Okay, next item on the, no, I'm just kidding, yeah,
that's my report. There was
No,
no meeting,
no meeting.
no report, and so you've got the next meeting too, which is the
which is Monday,
17th.
week from today.
Is the PDA going to be back on it?
There might actually be a rumor that that one might not happen either.
I think when that happens, you have to just,
Rumor.
We push it out a month to August.
Exactly.
No,
I
no.
think so.
The next trustee meeting?
I assume it's because on the calendar it says new moon, so I assume that.
Could be a holiday.
Ask Susan, she would know.
I was,
Susan,
Susan,
are they canceling the next meeting?
No, what's going on is
No? Okay.
he's teasing.
the PDA.
Oh, I thought
They
he was
got,
talking about the trustee.
Alex got stuff back to me for that, but I still need a part one of the full EAF, and he's not gonna be around for a few days. So I told him, because I think Drew Riedel's not gonna be there, I'd like to have everyone there for the meeting, so I think we're gonna push that off until early August now, right? And then Jody had mentioned something about we don't really have much else here, maybe we won't have it, so I don't know. It's just rumor, it's rumor.
You can't, you have to watch him a little bit.
Nope, the bills have to be paid, there's gotta be a 10-minute meeting. Okay, next item on the agenda is other business. Lorraine?
Now, why would you ask me?
I like to bounce around, yeah, no,
So I already reported, confirmed what Pat told us last time. The light at Bomax is working.
hey, there
And
you
I
go.
Finally.
confirmed that today too.
Yep, so we all have confirmed.
It always worked for me in my truck, just saying.
No, but now it works like all the time.
Yes, it does.
And I did mention, I don't think it was last weekend, maybe the weekend before, right after we talked about this, I actually saw a company there on a Saturday morning, and their vans were parked right there, and they were working on the mechanical box or whatever.
That's good.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll last.
That request Mike slaved over to put in really paid off.
Only because I asked him, between Pat and I, we pretty much harassed him.
I drove all the way up to Albany.
Anything else?
I didn't have anything else. Mike already looked into the Econo Lodge dumpster. It's still overflowing.
I mean, we just clicked into it. Okay, Jim?
No, I don't have anything.
Yamila?
Nothing?
Pat?
I noticed the abandoned car is still on.
Yes, it is.
Wait, what? What'd you say?
Abandoned car is still over.
It is
Yeah.
sitting there in the weeds are growing through it.
Yeah, it's really hard to see it now, but you know
Yeah,
what?
but it won't be.
What do you want to bet that car is gone?
Demo derby car,
That's what I
yeah,
think it's,
okay.
that's what it is.
What?
Demo derby.
It's a demo derby car. The Trumansburg Fair will be coming up in August. I'll bet you it's gone.
Until it comes back.
Right?
The car's there with no. Great.
There'll be a couple cars when it comes back, probably. They'll be like dumping everywhere.
Okay, anything else? Lisa?
So while I was away, I saw, I'm on that something with next door, or whatever, that there was flooding again at the mall.
Really? I didn't hear about it.
Rather bad, it looked like.
Really, where?
It was horrible.
Was it in Target?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what's
I
happening?
was there a couple,
What
I
has
missed that.
happened is because when you as in the planning board, got together and did that subdivision, we were able to have a maintenance agreement, stormwater maintenance agreement.
Yes.
And I pretty much executed it by sending them a letter.
Okay,
At this point, they now have 30 days as per that agreement. They have 30 days to start processing whatever they're gonna do. They have asked if we could give them a price on doing it, because they can't get contractors. So the Thursday meeting.
Wait a minute, Target said that? Target?
no, it's the mall owners,
Oh, God.
the mall owners.
I'm gonna bring
Can I give them a price?
I know.
Come up.
I'm gonna bring it up.
Some shovels.
Thursday meeting.
Okay,
See how the board of trustees want to handle this, because you don't want to overload our DPW, you don't.
No.
They've already got things to do.
No, and then,
sure too, that if anything should continue.
But again, this was the whole point, and we had that discussion
I was
about,
gonna say.
when we did this about getting something in place in case this happened again. Here you go, a year and a half later.
Okay, what,
There's
So
some
do they
good
think
and
they're
bad
gonna get a-
items to that, because if we are responsible for it, at least we know it will be done right. And in the end, it could eventually just fall back to us anyway if they don't get somebody that we
Well,
have.
they still have to pay for it though,
They
right?
get-
So
the
then,
village-
so then you could take the bids for the
The
contractors.
village won't pay for it.
No, right, so you could do the bids, right? And then,
well, the fact is, there would be some sort, yeah, we have to protect ourselves
But, I mean-
financially, but that's not the point.
Do we have the time to, does John have the time to oversee this? Do I have the time to go out and oversee this? I mean, is this,
We have the,
so these guys,
what to do.
but it needs to be done. We owe it to the people, or to the residents that live west of the mall. We owe it to
Yeah.
them, so it's gotta be done.
Yes, it
I was
does.
driving through Cayuga Heights that day, that it was really bad, and they had just finished some bridge work up there as you turn onto Texas Lane. Oh, I've never seen it that bad. I was like, I don't know what you guys did, but it was just a lot of rain. It wasn't anything, it looked great there, but it was just a lot of water, and I'm like,
The thing is, I can't help but think of the very first meeting we had with the mall, and how difficult that meeting was. They were just, when I said, you know, we have this flood issue, and they were really unpleasant. Remember that first meeting with them? And then they went off and did their homework and came back, and we've had a good working relationship ever since.
yeah.
I
I think
And
it's
this
good
is
that
the
they're
first-
asking though, like,
yes,
right, they
I think
know,
so,
there's
too.
the agreement there, they know there's an issue. How
I
can we
think,
get it
but
fixed,
thank
whether it's
God
them,
we
the
pursued
village,
that, is all I can
something
say.
else, yeah.
you know, what, they should really be responsible for
Well,
finding.
no, they are, there's no
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
It's just, they were pretty reasonable ultimately, and we had a decent working relationship, so hopefully we can work it out, but I was pretty shocked to see that, but not totally surprised, I will say.
But the work that I say we as in DPW, did on the corner of Tops there to alleviate that issue of it jumping the banks and flowing over.
It's okay?
banks, worked swimmingly.
Great, so to speak.
It's a good choice of words,
Or
but.
rather unswimmingly.
Yeah.
Yes, unswimmingly actually is better, yes. Good, so, well, I think for the right price, we could make
I was gonna say, I mean, I can.
a little overtime. I mean, no, we could make it work. And you're right, we do have an obligation to be sure that we protect.
Yeah,
Well, actually, even the people in the mall, we want the mall to
Yeah,
be
oh, absolutely.
successful.
Yeah.
well,
I mean, and frankly, anytime something like that happens, you end up with people that have to file insurance claims for their vehicles, and it's just so costly.
do you remember that last time? What year was that when they had the flood? I mean.
17 or 18, yeah.
It was like, how much water? A foot of water in the parking lot?
Well,
Well, this was right up to the doors. I mean, they had sand
Doors,
stuff.
not much further than the doors, but it came up to the doors.
They had it again, but we also saw that there's a culvert behind Northeast Pediatrics, that it jumped the bank there, and that was probably a lot of the reason why cops had issues. That, and I'm only speculating, that, and before, when they had an issue, it was a matter of the grate getting clogged up.
Yes, I remember that. Drain clean, and maybe
With this maintenance agreement, we can require them
they,
basically do what they're supposed to do, maintain it.
yeah, I thought that was part of it. I remember, keep the drains clean, because that was supposed to be inspected periodically for that.
And I mean, if you really wanted to, the culvert that goes under Tops and ends up coming out by the stormwater pond over by BJ's, I can stand up and walk through it. It's big enough.
It's huge,
to check out.
yeah.
I mean, it get a little creepy when you get partway up in there.
What's wrong with that?
You and the foxes.
Alligators and snakes.
There's a skunk
But
down
no,
there,
it's,
a possum or
things
something.
are getting taken care of.
Okay, I was just, you know, all of a sudden, there was this little video, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at that. And it just, I was very sad, actually.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of water.
Yeah,
There were a couple other issues that popped up in the village with that day. One thing that didn't happen is the folks from Cayuga Mall, they did take care
I
of
was gonna say, that's another,
the hole that was causing some issue in front of Monroe Muffler.
that has-
Yeah.
So that didn't seem to flood, but once I get on track here for all these stormwater facilities, and I get all that underneath my belt, like some of you have already heard, we may get audited with our stormwater.
Right.
I've got to get this up to speed. You know, that overflow pond next to Monroe, that might actually, they might have to dredge that out,
Yeah,
so.
I remember talking to the former guy that was at Monroe once, because I was asking him about that. And he was sort of saying what happened, and it comes down and then, that kind of, it's all wetlandy or,
In my opinion, you got, downstream, you had systems that were put in, 30, 40 years ago? Now you're adding a lot more impervious surface.
yeah, well, that's part of it.
Water is able to come down through. It doesn't matter, the stormwater pond up here, yes, it might handle the stormwater in that area or for that facility, but when it does release its excess, it goes down, might go down to other areas that just can't handle it. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be downstream either in some case. But yeah, because we do want the mall to do as well as it
I
can.
know, Target's been flooded so many times, like, it would be awful if Target moved out of the,
Oh, my gosh, don't even,
you might as well forget it.
don't
I
put
mean,
that out there. They own their
Making it sound
property.
bad, but I'm less
Oh.
concerned about Target as I am people in Shannon Park and all that. They-
Oh, right.
The back behind it, yeah.
But I understand what you're saying.
No, it would be a loss, though, for sure.
What else, Lisa?
That's it.
Mike?
Other than Eric being back, I'll get everybody the information they need. I'll get together with Wendy and we'll figure out how to approach this for the next meeting. I'm not even sure we really need to have a decision for the next meeting either, but that's gonna be Wendy's call, because this is to a point where it's not in my realm as far as, okay, is a special permit, when is it due, when is it over with? It's the wording of it, and that's where Wendy comes in, does the interpretation, the wording, what are our options and what kind of
Okay.
stuff. David Beer, I expect him again.
I have a question before we get off of, onto the David Beer. So if that special permit expires and he has to get a new special permit, sorry, my,
Any of those kind of, those legal issues in a more private setting, just because there's going to be a lot of different factors on what your options will be.
right, well, I guess, like, that special permit was issued before we had a tree law in place. So if it expires and he has to come back for another special permit, does that trigger some things like the tree law?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
again, we can, I would say that any new special permit has to abide by, the current things, but Wendy can advise us on that as we figure out, right, what our options are, what we can do, what Eric's response is gonna be, and,
Okay.
so. Okay, anything else, Mike?
Other than David Beer, I expect him in whenever John works things out with him, John and Dondi.
Wendy, last word?
I look forward to getting up to speed with Mike on the special permit and the conditions and some of that background details so that we can talk about what your options are. And so our next meeting is the 25th, and then the deadline's actually the 26th, so we can talk about whether or not you'll be in a position to be able to issue any decisions on the 25th before that expires.
Okay.
How can we really?
You could,
Or do we even want to, is the point.
okay, with that, any last comments from anyone else? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:21 PM.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Lorraine, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thanks, everybody, have a good night. Thank